Alright, what's good everybody? Josh here again for another video. So, today I've got some spare time on my hands, so I'm going to do a 5 things I dislike and 5 things I like about my 2015 Subaru Impreza Hatch. So, without further ado, number 1. It's a Subaru, so it's all-wheel drive. Where I live, all-wheel drive is completely kick-ass just because there's all the snow, so, you know, for daily driving purposes, you just tank through everything. I've had nothing but good luck with this car. I've got monstrous snow tires on it, plus the all-wheel drive. It just makes for a great combo. Plus, coming from a Chevy Aveo, which was basically a suicide tin can on wheels, you know, anything is it goes through the snow with ease. So number 2 is the storage space. So comparing it to my previous car, which was the Aveo, this car has got a lot of storage space. So if I want to go and pick up an engine or a transmission, you know, or some sort of suspension components that are large, like subframes, engine cradles, you know, I can toss it all in the back there. I can just flip the seats down, put whatever I need in the back, and we can carry it and not have any issues. Because last year when I went and picked up my EJ20G down in Pittsburgh area, we crammed a whole GD chassis rear subframe, like the T-brace plus the diff and the cradle, all in the back seat, and trying to fit that thing in the back of my Aveo just sucked. I mean, we got it home. I had to do brakes after because it just wasn't having any of wanting to carry the extra weight. But having all the extra storage space in this car is phenomenal. Alright, so number 3 is it's got a 5-speed manual. I've never had a car that's had a manual gearbox in it before, so having a 5-speed was huge for me, just for the sake that coming from what I came from, I had 4 main bulletins in a car that I wanted. Keyless entry, power windows, 5-speed manual transmission, and all-wheel drive. Obviously, with me having the GC8 and everything, the daily has to be a Subaru. I mean, it could not be a Subaru. So that's the thing that I love about this car so much, is it's got a 5-speed gearbox. It's teaching me how to drive manual, since I've never had anybody in my family that knows how to teach me, so it was just a total self-taught thing. I worked on a farm a couple years ago, and I did some driving on a manual tractor, which, you know, obviously it's the same concept, but, you know, it's different from a tractor to a car, as I'm assuming all of you guys know. Alright, so number 4 thing I like about my car so much is it gets good gas mileage. Now, it used to get even better gas mileage until I ripped the muffler off of it, but I wanted it to sound a little bit more rowdy. But right now, let's click the button. I get about 26.5 mpg. Not terrible, not terrible. I mean, it could be better. It was almost like 35 initially when I first got the car and was just driving around, but since I did the muffler delete, it's running a little bit richer, and I don't have a tune for it, so it's a sacrifice that I'm willing to make for it to sound pretty cool. Alright. So number 5, which is tying into number 4, is backfiring and crackling. This thing, since it's NA, since it doesn't have a turbo on it, there's a lot more exhaust that can just go freely, you know, out the back. So when I'm downshifting, or if I give it a little rev, and there's, you know, the extra fuel that gets dumped into the exhaust, it backfires and crackles pretty nicely. You know, it's nothing crazy, it's just a couple little quick pops and then it's done, just because it's just a muffler delete. It's the stock mid-pipe up to the cat and the headers, so it's not really going to do too much, but it's still enough to give me a little bit of noise, to not be super drony when I'm driving on the highway or anything like that, and it just makes the overall driving experience much more fun and personable for me, at least. But I mean, as car enthusiasts, we love the way our cars sound. It's just who we are and what makes each and every car unique. So rounding around to the other side of the list, which was extremely difficult for me to make because I don't really have a lot of complaints about this car, is the things that I dislike about it. Now, number 1, the first thing that I dislike about my car is the stereo system. It's only got 4-door speakers. It's just a base model Impreza, so it doesn't have like the premium sound system in it and whatnot. So, I mean, that can easily be fixed. We can put new door speakers in it. I believe there should be the connectors in the front of the dash for the little tweeters that go in the front of the dash. They're like 2.5 inches, I think, 2 3/4. But, you know, that's something that we can upgrade ourselves. If I wanted to, I could do the Subaru OEM, like the kicker a premium sound audio system, and I could do that upgrade. But I think if I did do anything, I would put Alpines in my car, just for the door speakers, probably like an Alpine Type S, just to kind of get me by, or even just save the money and buy like a Type R. It doesn't need to be anything ridiculously crazy. I just want it to, you know, just have a little bit more warmer tones compared to what the stock stereo is. But also tying into this as well is there's no real good place to mount a subwoofer in this car, since it is a hatchback, and with having all the storage area in the back, I wouldn't want to put a big subwoofer box in there, just for the sake of, in case I do need to pick something up or put something in the back of my car to carry something, I still want to have that storage space available. I know I could do like an underseat subwoofer, or a custom insert, you know, somewhere else, like maybe like, you know, in like one of the back corners, like by the passenger seat in the rear or something. But you know, I want to have all the storage space that I possibly can, because that's like one of the big pluses about this car, is I can actually go and get the stuff that I want. Now, I've thought about taking out the spare tire and building like a subwoofer enclosure into the spare tire tub in the rear, but that's something that I'm still trying to basically draw up and figure out. I know Car Audio Fabrication did make a video on that I've been watching. I watched it just a couple times over, just to get a general idea of how stuff is supposed to go and how to calculate the air volume to make, you know, a good sealed subwoofer enclosure that would be concealed and, you know, still have it so you can carry stuff in the back. But that's something I still gotta, I guess, basically just design a little bit more and, you know, go from there. Alright, so number 2 thing I dislike about my car is the seats. They aren't really bolstered that well. Like, they're bolstered more than my Aveo was, which is really nice, but after driving this car for the past 7-8 months now, you can definitely tell, like, if you go and corner hard, you get a lot of movement in the seats. Which we can change that out super easy. I can get like STI seats if need be. Like, I know somebody's selling a set of front STI seats out of a 14 hatch, I believe it is, for like $600. Something like that. But I mean, I know that the ones that are like 2015 and up are plug and play, so I can just directly bolt the seat in and plug it up to like the airbag connector, and I'd be fine. But I don't really like the way those STI seats look. I miss the older style where it looked more like a bucket seat. But that's, you know, it's just a very minor complaint. I mean, they're comfortable otherwise, you know, if you're just kind of moseying around town or for long distance driving. But, you know, any type of spirited driving where you're going to be cornering a little bit harder than normal, you definitely move around in the seat a lot more than you would with, you know, more of a bucket style seat. All right, number 3 thing I dislike about my car is there's no real aftermarket support. Now, I know it's just an Impreza, so it's, you know, there's not like a huge crazy amount like the WRX or the STI, and the F8, or not the F820, the FB20, that's what it is. The FB20 is still a relatively new engine platform, so obviously, you know, not aiming for power mods really, but more like dress up stuff like radiator hoses, like radiator shroud covers, different engine covers, alternator covers, just little stuff like that, just to kind of like decorate your car and, you know, make it look nicer and bring some more personality to it. There's not really a lot of stuff, you know, in that sense. I mean, I got the rally armors on my car. I took the wheels off the GC8, sandblasted them, and I just rattle canned them. They're just my winter wheels for this car now. But I mean, you know, just little stuff to decorate your car and dress it up. There's not a lot of, you know, aftermarket support in that sense. You know, obviously it's an Impreza. You buy it because it's fuel efficient, because it's a good daily. You don't buy it because you want to tune it and build it and everything. It's just not the car to make power on. It's as simple as that. You're not going to make power out of this car unless you dump way too much money into it. And at that point, you might as well just buy an STI with like an IAG block or something like that. Alright, the number 4 thing about this car that I dislike is that it is slow. It makes 144 horsepower at the crank. I don't really know what that translates to, you know, mathematically at the wheels, like with power losses and percentages, but I'm assuming maybe if I'm lucky 100 at the wheels. You know, obviously since it's meant to be, you know, a daily and everything, it's not meant to be crazy fast, but, you know, if you want to put your foot down on the floor, you know, and if you need to get up and go into traffic or something like that, that is kind of a downfall of it, because there is kind of like a little lag, just because it has like the way the throttle body's set up is because it is electronic. You can put your foot to the floor, and then it's like it's that waiting game for the computer to finally say, oh, the throttle body, it needs to be open. This, we need more fuel, more air into the engine to make go faster. But that's just a very minor thing about this car. I know you can fix it. I've been thinking about trying an InGen X-Pedal Pro just to see if that would help with the throttle response a little bit. But other than that, I mean, it's just an Impreza, like I said before. And okay, so number 5 thing I don't like about my car is the ride height. It is a very low riding car. I know if I wanted more ride height, I could have bought a Crosstrek, but the Crosstrek was about $4,000 or $5,000 out of my budget. So I knew that I needed a daily. My Aveo had over 100,000 miles on it. It was starting to nickel and dime me. So I was just like, you know what? Before I invest way more money into this car than what it's worth, I'm just going to save my money, just put a down payment on, a new car, and just go from there. I found this car. I got it for a great deal at the dealership I work at. So I can't really complain. That's just a very minor thing. If I wanted to, I could do like Anderson Fab. They make like 1.5 or 2 inch lift kit for this car, and so does Rally Tech. But it's just a very minor thing that I don't like. I would have loved to get a Crosstrek just because of that ride height. But I mean, at the same time, being a little bit lower and having that lower center of gravity is pretty nice too if you're doing some spirited driving, because you can huck it into a corner a little bit harder than you would if your car was lifted. But for wintertime driving, it does make things a little bit difficult, but I've never had any issues with getting through snow in this car. But other than that, it's a pretty phenomenal car. But yeah, this is my 5 things I like, 5 things I dislike about my car. They're very minor things that can be easily upgraded or fixed up, and in whatever way you want to think of it. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Just a quick video. I know I haven't posted one in a while, but me and my buddy, we have been tinkering along on the GC8 a little bit. Just finished dropping the rear suspension on it. But I've been buying a bunch of new hardware for the GC8, nuts, bolts, blah blah blah. Nothing crazy to make a video about, but no, hopefully soon we'll be able to start the front suspension build, and then after I built the front suspension, we're going to do the rear suspension build, and then hopefully after I get my tax return, we'll get a full gas MIG and TIG welder set up, do one of the what is it called, the I can't think of what it's called, one of the multi-process, that's what it is, a multi-process welder. My mind just completely went. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting a multi-process welder. My buddy, he works at a machine shop, so he knows how to weld, and he fabricates his own parts and stuff like that, for a living. So we're gonna get tube frame knocked out this summer, the roll bar knocked out this summer. I want to get the entire interior back together on the car, and I want to also get all the suspension done to it. So basically I have a rolling chassis, and hopefully by the end of this summer too, I'll have the STI 6-speed in it, as well as the drive shaft and the rear diff. So basically what we can do is we can just take the motor, just refresh the motor. I want it, like, eventually I want to do a crazy build on the motor, but right now I just want to get the car running and driving, just so I have basically just a baseline to build off of. But I figure we'll just do bearings on the motor. If it needs anything else, we'll refresh that too. I'll probably do like a minor build on the heads, just do like new valves, springs, and the retainers as well, just to upgrade those, but keep the stock cam profile just for now. But eventually what I'd like to do is I would like to get a Manley 83mm crank, just to stroke it out to 2.2 liters, because if I do the 83mm crank and have the block remachined, I can keep the stock bore, which will be nice, just because there's a lot more aftermarket for a 92mm bore on that piston, since it's just a 2-liter bore that's on all the WRXs and just 2-liter cars like that. So basically, if something does go, I can just replace a piston, if need be, and it doesn't have to be this crazy custom piston that's going to be a lot more money to invest into than what just a normal stock board piston would be. So that's my thinking behind it. If you guys have any, suggestions, critiques, things that you could drop in the comments, for the engine build, that'd be cool. But basically, I'm probably going to aim for like 500 at the crank, just so I can get about like 340, 350 at the wheels. I figure that's how much I'll make probably at the wheels. But I don't want this thing to be like a 1200 horsepower car. It just needs to be a driver. My main thing is it just needs to handle super good, that's why we're revamping the complete suspension setup. It's gonna be a grip monster, so it doesn't need a bunch of horsepower. I want to just be able to huck that thing into a corner and just have it just go. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, drop it down in the comments. If you liked the video, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down, whatever, don't really care. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.